To the policy agenda, we're adding item 4AA, ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment to authorize a change in zoning for 6 parcels of land from neighborhood business and sand beach to waterfront for 360 Beach Boulevard. Adding item 4F, resolution appointing Susan Hathaway to the Biloxi Architectural and Historical Review Commission. To the consent agenda, we're substituting item 5C, resolution to accept a grant award pertaining to the Edward Byrne Grant. Substituting item 5P, resolution authorizing submission of a request for reallocations of fund to the DMR.
Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as
I'd
amended?
like the discussion, please.
We will, but I need a motion
I got
to.
the discussion about, might want to pull one of these items off here.
All right, we can have that in discussion. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended? Yes or no?
I'll second it.
All right, moved by Mr. Barrett, seconded by Mr. Tisdale. Discussion.
Yeah, this item 4AA is pretty important, and I just got this on the table. There's a lot to it they changed. I think I need to have that pulled, so we need to have a workshop. The major change and a major piece of property for the city of Biloxi. So I'll just,
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I'd like to yield the gavel over to our Vice President, Ms. Newman.
Thank you. Okay. So what are you proposing, George?
to remove 4AA. Need to have a workshop. I mean, this is a major change in this piece of property. It's a major piece of property owned by the city of Biloxi. And I mean, we just got it on the phone and just, I didn't even have a chance to even look at it. It's a lot to it, so that's my request, please.
So you want to make a motion for a workshop? Do we have a second? To remove this and make a workshop.
Good night.
Go ahead.
I don't want a motion. I just want to have some discussion as well. George, I respect your position. What I would rather do is allow it to be put on the agenda when we get to it, we can discuss it. At that time, we feel it's right to postpone any movement on it. I think we should do it then. That way we can get a full no, we've got to get a full healthy discussion on it before we're just removing it, not even allowing it to be heard. I think we should hear it. We can entertain your motion at that point. I'd be happy to listen to it if it's based on substance. I'd be happy to even support it. But I think we need to get it on the agenda so we can talk about it. We can ask Jerry about it. We can ask the developers about it, and then move forward.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, moving on. All in favor of the additions to the agenda? All right.
What was that vote?
Moving on to the presentation agenda. Mayor's report.
Madam President, this is a brief report. Thank you very much.
Praise the Lord. Nathan, do we have any departmental reports? No? Okay. Nathan, council reports?
I don't have anything today.
Mr. Glavin?
I'd just like to point out that we had a good visit up to Jackson for the Midwinter Conference for the Mississippi Municipal League. We had Councilman Felix Gines, Nathan Barrett, and myself attend that conference. We got to visit with some of our state representatives and senators, and it was a real productive meeting talking about ARPA, the next round of ARPA, and some other key legislation that's going to have a positive effect. That concludes my report.
Mr. Tisdale?
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, you were never more eloquent in your mayoral report. I appreciate that. I know that we have 2 tree committee vacancies, Ward 3 and 7. I guess we're moving forward. Thank you. Is there going to be a portalet at the Hiller Park boat launch? Is there any thought being given to that? I don't think it was.
We haven't talked about it.
All right, and I don't know if we do that at other boat launches. I hear that we do, but I'm not a fisherman. I don't know that we do. It's just food for thought. I'm just
It's bathroom.
inquiring. It's a thought. Don't forget that water line to Pennzoil Park for a water fountain and a pet spigot. We got to have that. State of the art, finest in southeastern U.S. And I noticed on the docket, before it was printed numerically by vendor number, now it's being printed alphabetically. I'm just wondering why. Is there any reason for that? It doesn't make any difference to me. I'm just,
Either way, we can.
could be an historical change.
Well, I had thoughts on actually the appearance of the docket and using a little bit less paper and doing what we needed to do.
You were doing so
But
well with that.
Work on the raises, so now I can, my programming skills will be pointed towards the automation of
Outstanding.
that docket.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Mr. Deming?
Something silent. Mic check. Good. Chris Labata, hey, I know we weren't able to get together because of the weather last time. Tentatively, are you available next Tuesday, perhaps before the council meeting? Weather's going to be a little iffy through this week. If weather doesn't permit that Tuesday, then maybe Wednesday. I'll follow up you with email. If you don't have anything that you know of that conflicts with that right now, I'll send you an email over to confirm. All right, and Ms. Bell, can you give me an update on where we are with the lights for the Pops Ferry Park? I know I've got a lot of residents and ward members that call me about lights at night. Can you give me an update on where we're at with lights?
Sure, yeah, I got you, yeah.
Mississippi Power just sent an update last week, and, but they're not through. They went out there, and some of the adult groups are breaking into the electrical boxes and tearing them up. So now we have to go back in there and fix those to be able to finish the assessment with Mississippi Power. But right now, they're through with the international field, they're through with the dog park, and they're through with the north-south since the meter was replaced because somebody took the meter. But a lot of those light poles are gonna have to be replaced also. They've been ate up by woodpeckers.
Okay, what can I tell the residents about lights at night?
Right now, the only ones we have working, if they do not destroy the panel box, is the big field.
When you say the big field, are you referring to the
The
field?
one with the soccer goals, the major soccer goals right there by the concession stand,
Yeah,
south of the concession.
okay. And
We're working on it.
yes, Mike.
Councilman, as it was explained to me, one of our problems out there is that, and I've been by there at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and it's still very busy, and people out there playing soccer. Usually it's the soccer fields. But when the lights go out at 10 o'clock, they're breaking into the switch box and turning the lights back on. Now, I don't think our residents that are living nearby there really want the lights on after 10 o'clock at night. So what we're going to have to do is move the box up higher where they can't get to it, and as part of the overall improvements to those lights.
Okay, well, I don't think it is any residents concerned with lights being on after 10. It's
Oh,
more
yes, sir. He's come to my office. A couple of them came to my office.
for lights.
The lights shine right in his.
No, I'm saying they're not complaining that lights aren't on after 10.
Oh.
It's the Little League football teams
They are
and those
on.
people that call me about getting lights on in regular hours,
Yeah.
6 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
In the same,
at night.
it's the same situation, Councilman Deming, at the international fields. They've gone in there so much and retwisted everything, the whole panel is destroyed now. So we have to replace that whole panel as well as lights, and so, we're just waiting on that assessment for the leasing program.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Uh-huh.
That's all I have.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yeah, Sherry, before you sit down, on the Tavara Park, the fences, have we put that out yet to bid, the fences?
No, I just got one quote, and I'm meeting another company tomorrow. Can't be beat fence, went out there, marked it all off, because you decided you wanted the whole entire grounds fenced off. At one point, it was just the dog park, so I just got those prices last week, and I'm meeting Gulf Coast Fence Company this
No,
week.
you're waiting for the second bid, so we have to have two bids?
Yes, because they're over 20,000.
Yeah,
There and at Greenwich in St. Mary's.
Kids been playing on Tavara, so I want to make sure we finish that and put the dog park in there too.
Yes, sir.
So, right. Peter, can you give me an update on Sweatman House? What exactly are we doing with that now?
We're working on the RFP for putting that out to the public, seeing what sort of interest we'd have on that
And we're gonna put that out when?
it's finished. Couple of weeks.
We sure are slow on the hole trying to do something.
Well,
Except when we get somebody's property, we just put it on top of you.
I'm talking about when it would be published in the paper. That takes about a week, and about a week to finalize it.
And, I had a call on the bridges, and the lights out on Biloxi Bridge, Ocean Springs. And I know that MDOT's supposed to be replacing LEDs, and then that's supposed to be turned over to us. Are we gonna be capable enough to handle that once they do that?
Well,
Good.
hopefully they'll be, 10 years, almost maintenance-free operation, but they're not completed. I think we're about 6 months behind before they got their equipment. There's about 15 lights, both sides of the bridge are out. I checked that last night.
Yeah.
And some fixtures were completely removed, and I think that was on the other side. But they said, I think, a month or so or 2 months ago, and we'll have a meeting with Kelly Castleberry, and I'll get the details of, we've got a scheduled meeting about something else with him. So he should give us numbers when they expect it to be finished.
And the last thing, somebody can give me an update on the Claiborne Street area. I mean, it's been raining so bad, and it's flooding, it's nothing but mud. So how soon can we put some kind
That's
of cover on the streets?
I think we've got some temporary, Walt, yeah.
That-
Just what, we don't need it.
There's on Howard Avenue in Claiborne, it's about 2 feet deep right there.
Good afternoon, Council. Councilman, your question was in regards to Claiborne Street?
Right, in Howard Avenue.
Yes, sir. Right now, the contractor is finishing up the water and sewer on the side streets between Claiborne and Rossetti, and they're about to start the drainage on the north side of Coon Street, and that will come down, and once they get that in, they'll be able to tie all the drainage in, and we'll get the road repaved. We're aware that it does pond in heavy rains, especially as you're getting near Claiborne. The contractor has put in a temporary fix. So we are aware of it. We're trying to mitigate it as we go forward with that temporary paving and the temporary drainage there to alleviate some of the situation.
Why you,
The problem we have, when you come out of Possum Wreck, there's only one way to get out of there. And they gotta float the boat through there. I mean, that pond is not the word. That thing, that's like a lake. That thing's pretty deep.
Yes, sir. And the last heavy rain we had was before the contractor came in and put in a temporary swale to get the water off that road on that low spot there. So hopefully it addresses some of those issues.
Thank you.
well, you
Yes,
might as well give them a report on Boulevard too. I think they've paved it, and it's, at least base coat is on Boulevard Road update.
Yes, sir. Beauvoir Road is open. We formally opened it this morning. They paved yesterday on the 16th. They got the traffic signal lights reset and working this morning, thanks to Public Works and Stephen over the traffic signalization with the city of Biloxi. And WLX reported on that, and as well as our public information officers got the message out. So seems to be working well.
We'll save you a few steps. Give the man a report on where we are with funding. The docket. What's in step 404?
Oh, you want
Yeah,
to go ahead and get the funding out of the way? Okay.
Save you a few steps because you ain't be asking on you.
Currently, we have 2.376 million in step 3 of 5. I requested this morning from MEMA to move it over to the next step, which is step 4. Once it goes into that, we usually receive it in 10 to 15 calendar days.
And we're burning about 1.5 to 2 million a month.
About 1.5 million right now. A lot of stored materials on the new project, but yeah, we expect that to pick up once we start putting down some asphalt.
All right, thank you. I'm
sir.
finished.
Thank you.
Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
In regards to the boat launch, we're so grateful. It's been a long time coming and so many thank yous from the community. So that's just an awesome project to finally be accomplished. Also, since day one, since we've been fundraising for Hiller Park and whatnot, one of the goals was new bathrooms. So hopefully we can get that on the list for Thailand's money as well. So we can get some new bathrooms and not lock them perhaps. Anyway, moving on to public agenda. We have a 45-minute time slot allotted, and each person gets 3 minutes each to speak. Once you arrive to the desk here, please sign your name and address as well as state it loud for the record. Anyone on my left, your right, that would like to get up and speak on any topic? My right, your left? Yes, sir.
David Wheeler, 185 Main Street. I've already signed in. I just wanted to let y'all know I am here on item 4D on your policy agenda. If y'all have any questions when that comes up, I'm available to answer anything you might want to know about it.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. Anyone else? My right, your left, that would like to get up? Sure.
Michael Martin. Good afternoon, Mayor, Council. I'm here as a representative of the BSO, Biloxi Soccer Organization. I'm going to piggyback on what Sherry was talking about as far as the fields. I'm also the director of coaching for the BSO, and I coach my nephews. I have for the last 4 years. And Councilman Deming, I appreciate bringing the topic up because I did email you. The main issue is A.J. Holloway fields, the soccer fields get so wet that when it rains, we can't practice for 2 or 3 days. And they're only open to soccer practice 2 or 3 weeks, maybe, before the season starts. Again, we've had these problems with Pops Very Light for at least since I've been here, 4 years. And Sherry kind of indicated, I talked to also a contractor about how, and it's not the coaches doing it, by the way, he's tearing these lights, light switches or breaking everything on the panels. We don't practice till 10 o'clock. Y'all know who the culprits are, especially if you drive by there, like Mike indicated. I've been there at night. I've been looking at all these fields. I hit the buttons. The timers don't work. There needs to be some money put into these lights. It's been ongoing for 4 years. It's getting worse and worse. Eventually, the only lights that really work are the, as Sherry indicated, the main field, what they call a large field, to the left of the pavilion as you go right next to the dog park. The pickleball lights, international field, don't work. I've tried numerous times. There's a green and white, a green, yellow, green and red button. They don't pop. They don't come on. Of course, I'm not going to go in there and cut the lock and break in there and see, try to manipulate like some people do. But I got a minute and a half. I know the culprits that break into these things. Maybe y'all want to get that resolved before you actually spend more money. I don't know what the result is of putting a cage around it with a bigger lock or some kind of lock where they can't break into it or can't reach in and do damage. All they can do is access the green and red buttons. That's about all I have other than my, anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? My right, your left, that would like to get up and speak? All right, we'll go with public comments. Moving on to the policy agenda, Ms. Carey.
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment to authorize a change in zoning for 6 parcels of land from neighborhood business and sand beach to waterfront for property at 360 Beach Boulevard.
Do we have a motion?
I move to have a discussion.
Okay, do we have a
I'll
second?
second it.
All right, being that it's the first reading, we'll go ahead and move on.
I really hadn't had an opportunity today. They was sitting at the desk. I'm not exactly sure why we changing this to waterfront. We hadn't,
We'll go ahead and discuss that next week, babe. This is a first reading.
huh? This is the first reading? Oh, okay.
We'll discuss it next week.
I didn't see that anymore. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
All right. That's good.
Ordinance to amend the Sherman v. Canaan Back Bay Fishing Dock berthing rate schedule and the Biloxi Commercial Fishing Dock berthing rate schedule.
Previously moved by
Lawrence and Glavin.
Lawrence and Glavin. Lawrence, do you have any discussion?
Yeah, this, what they're trying to do is Mike, you want to explain it, they short money as far as the wattage for the electricity. So what they trying to do is bring it up to at least balance it out if nothing else, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct. That's part of the repairs that are underway right now from Hurricane Zeta. It's a FEMA project. You've seen that they're gotten the piers ready, but we're still waiting for the electricity, the electrical components.
But as far as the ordinance change and the modification to the fees, this is to recoup the power charges that the city is being charged with. This will get us close to breaking even, because right now the commercial, Sherman Canyon, they pay no power. They don't have any power charge for those slips.
Then the one was 12,000, and the other one 16,000.
Yes, sir.
So what you trying to do is balance that out, and you have a system, you're charging it back to them?
Just like any other slip that pay a monthly electric charge, we're just charging that to the commercial slips as well. Same rates.
Depends on the generator, things like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion, Glavin? All right, any other discussion from anyone else? All in favor? All against? Okay, 5-1, 6-1, sorry. No, 5-1.
5-1.
Dimming opposed. Moving on to ordinance B.
Ordinance to approve a zoning map amendment to authorize a change in zoning from residential manufactured home and regional business to neighborhood business for property at 1220 Old Highway 67.
Previously moved by
Barrett and Glavin.
Barrett and Glavin. Any discussion, Barrett?
Mr. Krill, so we moved last week, whenever we moved this, or 2 weeks ago, whenever we moved this, I believe that you explained to us. Can you explain, because now I look down and I see, I got several calls on item C, and I now see that B is related to C. Can you explain to me again why we're having a zoning request?
When the application originally came in, they were asking for RB zoning because they wanted to create 10 sites in the middle of the park that they could allow RVs in. So the site, even though it has some RB around it, it really wasn't conducive to RB because, you've got a single-family neighborhood to the north of it, even though there's some property between there. So when it went through the Planning Commission, they moved to reduce the zoning from RB and RMH to NB, which would make all the property a conditional use. Now, in their original argument, they said that they wanted to do or explore the possibility of doing some short-term rental there. One of the letters in there said that they'd like to do possibly do short-term rental in all of them. But I've just spoken with Mr. Ware back here, and he said that's not their intention, is to do short-term rental in all of them. I will tell you this about the park. This park was in horrible shape. It had sewer running on the ground and all kind of problems with all of the mobile homes that were in there. And when Home took it over, they've cleaned it up. We've had no code enforcement calls out there. There's no more sewer running on the ground. It's just a totally different operation than what we were dealing with before. So the nature of the request is that the property would change from RMH and RB, downsized to NB, and for the short-term rental, if you'll approve the conditional use, then it would be a conditional use. So if we do have problems there, you always have the right to remove that. But the NB zoning would be the lowest zoning we can get to that would allow the 10.
So the NB, so by changing this zoning, that does allow the 10 RV spots regardless of the outcome of C, or if it's, goes to a public, whatever, that gives them the ability to go ahead and move forward with the RV spots.
It's the lowest zoning we have that would allow both the RV spots and the short-term rental as a conditional use.
Okay. So with that being said, for them to do the RV spots, they have to come back to get a conditional use. Is that correct?
No.
Okay.
No,
So that's not conditional use then? Just the short-term rental would be conditional use?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for this.
I have to second what Jerry told you. A horrible mess when they took it over.
Yeah.
The previous owner went bankrupt, couldn't clean up the sewage treatment plant, the sewage treatment lagoon. It defaulted to People's Bank. Home of Grace worked the deal to assume control. And they've turned it from a terrible mess into a real gem. It's, I'm sure, the best well-run such facility in the city. And I think the secret to that is the adult leadership, that they really paid attention to taking care of it.
Okay.
Little things like getting rid of all the trash cans and replace them with dumpsters. Just little things that they did, and paving the roads. And
Let me
putting in
make a correction.
lift station so they didn't need the sewage lagoon anymore. If all of the trailer parks in the city were as well run as this, we wouldn't have some of the problems we have with some of them.
It does take the conditional use to get the RVs. So what the city council has the option of doing, you can approve it all as requested. If you choose to approve it, you could approve the conditional use as requested, or you could approve the RV park and not the short-term rental, or you could approve the short-term rental and not the RV, the 10 RV spaces. So you have several options here.
So we go forward with B and then discuss C when that comes up?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I have no other questions.
Yeah, I'd like to hear from Chief Miller. I know you interact with Homes of Grace, and especially on the use of this site per se.
Sure. Well, I'll just be frank. I mean, I think we're very fortunate to have the Homes of Grace in the city. Over the years, I can't tell you the number of times that we were against the wall. Some family was against the wall with a member of the family who was having problems. Very expensive to get treatment. Not one time have I called the Home of Grace and they have turned me down. They've always found a place for us, and I think, my personal opinion, the city should do all that they can do to help fund this program. It's an outstanding program, and it works well.
Thank you, Chief. I have nothing else.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Jerry. I know that they do a great job, Home and Grace, all that. Why short-term rentals? Most of those things are long-term deals, so why did it have to have short-term rental?
Well, Mr. Ware is here. If y'all want to ask him,
Fine.
they'll be
That's good enough for me.
Hey, wouldn't it be better for us to go ahead and vote on B, and then C is the one that has the short-term rental on it? Would that be a better, go ahead, vote on B to change the zoning, because regardless of the outcome on the short-term rental, I don't think that we're going to be opposed to them putting some RV spots in there. So we could discuss the short-term rental on item C, which is the
I have
next.
no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay. So
Call for the question.
all in favor of B? All against? So 5-1, Tisdale against. Moving on to resolution C.
Resolution granting conditional use approval to authorize short-term rentals and add 10 recreational vehicle sites at 12200 Old Highway 67.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move for discussion.
Okay, second?
Second.
All right. Go ahead, Nathan.
So when the agenda came out last week, I moved this, the item B that we just passed. And when the agenda come out, I did get several calls, some people who live in the immediate area, and then some people who were involved in the business. And so I guess what I would like, I understand the 10 recreational vehicle sites for motor homes or travel trailers or whatever to come in. But I guess, number one, I'm familiar with the program that y'all have there currently. How many regular mobile homes do you have in the park?
I'm gonna state my name, Amanda Graham. Do I need to state the address? Okay, I'm the property manager for the park. We have about 97 lots there at the park, which we're about 60% capacity. We have about 15 mobile homes that I have staged that's set up for short-term that I have just been renting to travel nurses and workers that come into the area. Of course, those are a 30-day minimum to stay in compliance. And then we have lots 1 through 3 that is in the front of the park, that little sliver that is zoned for short-term, less, where we can do Airbnb or VRBO So we do have those three that is in compliance with that now. And so we just want to be able to have the flexibility of having the ones that are set up now for the over 30-day stay, that we do have the option if we could take a booking for 2 weeks. And the reason that we gravitate towards the short term is obviously they bring in a higher revenue for the Home of Grace to be able to provide the needs for the home and scholarships.
Okay, so you have 97 lots.
Yes.
Of those 97 lots, how many of those have mobile homes on them right now?
I would say a little more than half.
Okay, so we're going to say 50.
Yeah, 50 would be a safe number.
We'll say you have 50 mobile homes. And then the other lots are just empty lots.
Those, yes, those are empty lots, and which 10 we wanted to just reserve for RV, and then the rest we would like to continue to fill the park.
Okay, so the way I'm reading this resolution is if we pass this resolution as written, and I may be reading it incorrectly, if we pass this as written, this basically gives this entire park the ability to do short-term rental on 97 lots. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. And then you said you have 3 mobile homes at the entrance that are already zoned?
That's correct.
Is that something y'all came to approve? Y'all came a couple of years ago or something on that, or was it already zoned use by right, or?
It was already zoned as a use by right. Now, that property is included in with this zoning change to change it to NB. So what this would do, if the council approves it, it would make all of the mobile homes in there be conditional use.
So the 3 that are in that park, there's 3 that were already, they're already zoned for short-term rental.
That's correct, yes.
All right. So with this being a mobile home park, hypothetically, we pass this. What does this do for other mobile home parks that would come to us asking? Would this set a precedent for any mobile home park that wanted to turn, some mobile home parks rent a lot, but some of them own their own mobile homes and rent the lot and the mobile home to the renter. Would that give them an argument to, and I don't know the legalities of it, but would that open the door to mobile home parks all across the city requesting for the ones that have mobile homes on site that they rent both to be VRBO, Airbnb, et cetera?
Possibly. You might have some other mobile home parks that come in to ask to do short-term rental, but even right now, we can't keep up with when people move into a mobile home and when they move out. So there could be short-term rental going in there already.
Yeah, but if they're listening on Airbnb and VRBO, our guy that works for the city should be monitoring that. And if they have those in mobile home parks, we should be regulating it. Now, I understand if they're doing it not on a platform, but if they're doing it on a platform, we should be regulating that already.
And the 3 that they have are being regulated right now. Now, remember that if the city council votes to approve this, each one of these mobile homes is going to have to be inspected by the building department and the fire department. And if it does not meet the criteria for a short-term rental, then it would not be approved.
So if we did pass this, every one of the mobile homes would have to come back before the council individually as a conditional use, yes or no? No, okay. Me personally, I'm willing to vote yes on the 10 recreational spots, but I would like to have, I'd like to have a public hearing on anything additional. And I appreciate what y'all do. I think y'all's program is great. I remember when Country Living had the lagoon and the sewer was running out, and we had issues with that when I first was elected to the council. But I'm also fearful of opening a door to, because I'm fearful of opening a door to a nightmare across the city. And before I'm willing to vote in favor of short-term rentals in a mobile home park, and we have a good number of mobile home parks across the city, so it don't just affect this ward. This also affects Kenny, who is right next door to this and has a brand-new subdivision right across the street from this. And every one of us probably have mobile home parks in our wards. And so this would affect all of us potentially affect all of our wards down the road. So I'm not saying no, but I think it's something, me personally, that I would feel more comfortable having a public hearing and getting more information on, maybe downsizing, looking at it from different angles, seeing what the repercussions may be if we do vote this in. And I'm willing to do an amendment and vote yes to go ahead with the recreation, the RV sites. But as far as opening the door for 97 lots to become short-term rentals for a mobile home park, that's something that I think that we need to have more discussion on before we pull that trigger.
Go ahead, Mr. Glavin.
Yeah, I agree with Nathan. And listen, I understand that the work that you do with Homes of Grace, and we commend you for that. If we can have assurances that it's for that purpose and for those 10 mobile homes, I don't have a problem with it as well. But we need to build that into the assurances of the conditional use. And that's my take on it.
Any other discussion? Mr. Tisdale?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. And as Jerry pointed out, what if approved as presented, we're actually possibly adding 107 short-term rentals to the list, basically. And those were good questions by my friend from Ward 7 there, particularly we've got 500, about how long does it take to complete an inspection? Chief Geyser, roughly an hour? 30 minutes, so with 500, that's 250 hours that somebody somewhere's got to do. My guess is you don't have a whole lot of slack time in the fire department now with all the training that goes on. Do we charge commercial rates for short-term rental, commercial water rates for short-term rentals?
Yes, sir. If they're approved, then they get charged the commercial.
Okay, good. And we do that now, is that correct? Or okay, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. The other concern, it's a rhetorical, I guess, question more than anything else. Any concerns about long-term apartment rentals? I'm thinking of all these, not necessarily trailers, but sometimes trailers, or homes, or second homes that used to be long-term rentals. As they come off the market for short-term rentals, do we have any compensating increase in multifamily dwellings out there, or any, apartment construction or anything? That's just a segment of the community. Some folks, that's what they're counting on. They can't afford homes.
Well, we do have a lot of apartments that are under construction right now, but you'll remember that the council voted that if there were any requests to convert existing apartments over, that the owner would have to go in and rewire the entire complex, So we see that as kind of a deterrent to people just arbitrarily wanting to convert an apartment complex over to short-term rental.
Right, and I would assume that would help some. Okay, that's all the concerns I have. Thank you.
I don't really have much. I will support the project, and one of the, I guess, the ironic scenarios that I see is everyone that's against short-term rentals, if they look at the market, people are dumping their short-term rentals in all major cities right now because the market's saturated, no one can make any money. And I would just recommend you guys, if you don't want short-term rentals, you vote for them because they'll disappear naturally. Saturation will remove many of them that don't make any money. You'll see them convert back to apartments. You'll see them convert back to long-term homes. It's happening in all other cities right now that are larger than us, and it will trickle down to us and be here rapidly as we saturate our own markets, if you'll allow it to be saturated. That's all I have.
George, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and speak first because you might take a while. Um, I have to disagree. I think that Homes of Grace has already set a precedence over just any park, and they're already doing some short-term rentals. Plus, we have control over conditional use, so if there is a problem, we can always take that right away. But I have no issue with the workshop, though. Go ahead, George.
I'll support Nathan. But let me add, how do you keep up with the homestead exemption,
Not you.
Jerry? You know, when they do short-term rental, they lose the rights for homestead exemptions. How we keep up with that?
We notify the tax collector. As soon as we issue a certificate of occupancy for a short-term rental, the tax collector is notified immediately. We send that information to him, and because it's being used as a commercial operation, they remove the tax homestead exemption off of it.
And what kind of tax do they have for being a commercial business? Short-term rentals.
I'm not sure what they charge, Mr. Lawrence, for commercial, what the increase is from one to the other, but it is looked at as a commercial operation. Remember that the taxes are based on the use of the property. So if it's used for single-family permanent living, then they get a fairly low rate. But once they convert it to commercial,
It goes
But
from ad
these,
valorem
these
tax.
wouldn't have homestead exemption on them anyway. Homestead exemption is only for someone's primary residence that owns the property. Someone that, like Homes of Grace can't file homestead exemption on 97 lots.
It's
I
already
mean,
based.
unless they lived in one of the mobile homes and owned that mobile home and filed.
There you go.
But
Yes,
those
they can.
97 lots would not have homestead exemption on them anyway.
But it was also for the rest of the homes that we turned into. So how do we actually keep up with that?
So I guess, and again, I appreciate the work that y'all do. I think it's great. I do have some questions. I'm going to make a motion, and I'm going to let y'all tell me what y'all would prefer. Would you rather me table the whole thing and have a workshop? And I would like to sit down and talk to y'all as well, before we have the workshop, just so I can wrap my mind around it all. Would you rather us go ahead and approve the 10 the RV sites and then separate the 2 out and have a workshop on the short-term rentals, or just do a workshop in a couple of weeks on the whole thing?
Well, just one thing before I do answer that. It's not our intent to have all 97 of the mobile homes as short-term. The reason, I guess, that we're asking, for the park is so that, let's just say number 50, I was using for a short term. I had some people stay there for 6 months, but now I have another, tenant that they're wanting to sign a year lease, and maybe I can just take those items and move them to another unit or put it in storage or whatever until I'm able to utilize that, and then still lease that as a 12-month lease, or, not just limit that trailer and say, only this, that I have the flexibility to move them around, because I have done that, where I've had it set up that way, and then somebody comes in and they say, well, we're gonna be here longer than, let's say, 3 months, can we just do a monthly, 6-month lease, or can, I don't limit what is available. I just try to work with what people need. I've got a lot of people that just need temporary housing because they're looking for a house, or they're waiting for their house to close, different things like that. So it's not that we're trying to make the whole park, every one of them, short term, and have people kind of in and out. Like we still have our long-term tenants that's been with us for a while that we do intend to keep them there. It's just, like I said, we've got the 3 up front that we're already being allowed to rent it that way, and then 2 lots down, well, I can't rent this one for 2 weeks because it's not sitting on this particular lot, and so it doesn't make sense in those terms. But no, I would like to definitely, if you all wanted to make the motion on the 10 RV sites, and then if you still, like you say, wanted to view it from different angles or have other questions or
I would just like to
understandings.
sit down and discuss. And like I said, I have received a few phone calls, and so if I can sit down with y'all and get a complete understanding of everything, then I can go talk to these people, and it may not be an issue with them either.
Right.
And so, and like I said, it's just, I'm not voting no, I just, would like to dig deeper and make sure that we have a complete understanding of everything.
Understandable.
And so I'll make a motion, I guess. Tell me how to do this, Peter.
Well, it may be better to table it. If you do a public hearing, we've got to have a publication, right?
They can have a special meeting and just have a workshop on it.
Now, can we approve one portion of this and then have a public hearing on another portion, or have a workshop or whatever?
It'd be better just to table the entire thing and just make the decision when you bring it back up, instead of trying to pass half of it now.
Okay. Will that work? Okay. And so we can, if we're doing a workshop, can we do that for next week, or just that way it doesn't, postpone y'all too long? And between now and then,
We're gonna table it.
table it. So whatever works for y'all next week, I guess, before or after the meeting.
Okay, so we have a motion to table for next meeting after the meeting of having a workshop, seconded by Mr. Glavin. Any more discussion on a workshop? All in favor? About to say, you're not even voting on your own motion? Okay.
Well, I was going to say, if we could have the workshop prior to the meeting, this could possibly be on the agenda
Okay,
and us
so
vote on it next week, correct?
what time would you
Or
like?
we could have it, and if we don't get it worked out, we could remove it again, but that way we could have, maybe, we could sit down before, and if not, we have a meeting the following week too.
For the workshop.
I don't know. I just know that there's some people that want to ask some questions that couldn't be here today, that called me.
And you could
I
do
can
it for one-
talk to them myself. I don't necessarily have to have the workshop, but there are some people that wanted to come and ask some questions in a meeting. And so,
You could start the workshop at 1:15, and if it goes over, then you'll just start the meeting whenever the workshop ends.
1 o'clock.
1:15.
Let's just do 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1
1
o'clock.
o'clock. Okay, 1 o'clock next Tuesday.
Okay, so table until 1 o'clock next Tuesday. Okay.
All in favor was 6-0, right?
1 o'clock.
And if y'all leave, I'll get with y'all. I'll walk out if y'all are leaving and get with y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, moving on to Resolution D.
Resolution granting minor subdivision final plat approval for an unaddressed parcel fronting Pash Road.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Lawrence. Any discussion, Mr. Tisdale?
Yeah, we have Mr. Creel up here, and if there are any detailed questions, we have Mr. Wheeler there. But as I understand it, there's 27 acres that we're dividing into two parcels. Basically, one's a little over 3.5, and the other is about 23 acres. Parcel A, which fronts Pass Road, is, I think, going to be purchased or planned to purchase by the Keesler Credit Union for additional office space and parking. And along the western boundary, there's a 100-foot easement that runs basically from the front of the property all the way back to the remaining acreage in the back for future use there. That's basically it, I think. Is there anything else, Mr. Creel?
No, sir. They have not applied for a zoning change yet, but that would be the next step if the subdivision is approved.
Okay. And Mr. Wheeler, I don't know if you wanted to add anything, you're welcome to at this point, if you have any comments.
Yes, sir. Keesler Federal has a contract to purchase the part that fronts on Pass Road, and they will leave 100-foot right-of-way on the western side that would provide access to the 3.5 acres that'll remain on the north. We're just taking this large strip of property and dividing it into two lots. Keesler didn't want to buy the whole thing, and they plan on building another building and expanding their campus and consolidating everything in Biloxi.
Okay, thank you. I do have another question for Mr. Creel. I'm thinking the back portion that that remains unsold in this subdivided parcel, is there any way that could be used for commercial development?
No, sir, not without coming to the planning commission, the council, and getting a zoning change. It's zoned RS10 right now. The
Residential.
whole of the property is on RS10, residential, single-family, 10,000 square foot lots. And the request that'll be coming to you is to change the zoning to LB, which is the lowest intensity business zoning that we have. It's also the zoning that the current Keesler building has right now. So it would just be an expansion of what's already there. But they would not be able to do anything commercial on that rear piece of property unless they go to the planning commission, city council. And get
Exactly,
approval.
which is the usual process.
That's correct,
On the
yes.
western boundary, that easement that's left, that 100-foot easement, if something were to be developed on the back parcel, could we require the property owner to build some sort of buffer or a fence or shrubbery or something to shield that neighborhood from?
It would have to be. It would have to be a buffer. We have 4 different kinds of buffers, and the most intensive is one that's called an opaque buffer that could actually be built there with a solid wood fence and landscaping. So yes, sir.
Thank you. That concludes my comments and questions. Thank you. Yes, sir.
The front, the property, the lot that's going to front on Pass Road, currently the south 400 feet of that property is already zoned LB. So this one piece of property is split zoned. So what the application is going to be before the planning commission is to make the lot that Keesler Federal's buying all LB instead of half of it LB and half of it RS10.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Wheeler.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes, Wheeler, one of y'all, is this the same piece of property that was running back to the junior college as a road?
No, this property is immediately adjacent to Keesler Federal's current building. I think the part you're talking about is on the western side of the old golf course.
And all that was owned by WC4, I thought they was the same, was all part of the same piece of property.
Well, yeah, it's all owned by WC4.
So you're not changing the piece running to, because I thought that was supposed to be something we were trying to do, to have every road run back to the junior college.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's on the other side of
It is. It's on the other side of Edgewater Estates, Mr. Lawrence, and that project for the road, the junior college road, went through DRC last week, so you'll be seeing more of that.
Okay, I thought they was tied together, that's why I was just trying, so he owns them both, but just separate pieces of property.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call for the question, all in favor? 4-0, Nathan out of the room.
5-0.
5-0. Moving on to Resolution E.
Resolution appointing Carol Vaughn to the Biloxi Architectural and Historical Review Commission.
Do you have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale. Do I
I'll
have a
second.
Second by Mr. Lawrence. Any discussion, Mr. Tisdale?
No, Miss Vaughn lives a local lady. I think she lives on Lee Street in a historical home. I think she's amply qualified. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Lawrence?
No comment.
Anyone else? Is Ms. Vaughn here? All right. Call for the question. All in favor? 5-0. Moving on to Resolution F.
Resolution appointing Susan Hathaway to the Biloxi Architectural and Historical Review Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Lawrence, second by Mr. Tisdale. Any discussion, Mr. Lawrence?
Anybody wants to serve, let them go get it.
Amen. Tisdale?
I wouldn't dare add anything to that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Is Miss Susan Hathaway here? Would you like to
Right
speak
there.
or anything?
I just would like to thank Harry Joachim and Mike Leonard and Dr. Tisdale for having a lot of faith in me for taking this on.
Thank you for wanting to serve. Congratulations. All in favor? 5-0. Moving on to the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lawrence. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Tisdale. Do we have any discussion, Mr. Glavin?
I got a couple items on here. Items G and H concerning the Cedar Lake Bridge. Can you kind of tie in what this means for that bridge, Cedar Lake Bridge?
This is a grant from FEMA to study and develop the environmental impact analysis for various options, which include repairing the bridge, replacing the bridge, or moving the bridge to a new site. And that's about a $900,000 grant, of which we have a small match. And I don't have to tell you that we have a two-bridge problem, not a one-bridge problem. That bridge is in need of repair.
And let me just add too, that in this study, we'll evaluate the paths to the bridge, the roads that lead to the existing bridge and possibly new paths too. So it's a expensive study, but it's well worth, the effort to go through it.
So both of these, they're two separate grants. Both of them are going to be used for the same purpose, basically?
Damon, what you're going to replace the bridge with?
One grant that looks at all the options. And there are two resolutions there. One of them is asking for the grant, and the other one is accepting the grant.
Gotcha. I just want to add this bridge. We've discussed it a lot over the years in this meeting. It's kind of a dated bridge. It's caused some problems with safety issues, even to the point some of our first responders in certain situations, they don't allow them to go over that bridge because of its condition. So anything that we can speed up, either the replacement, repair, enhancement, or relocation, would be for the benefit of the citizens in Biloxi.
I think related to public safety, and it would be a posted bridge if we fix it as is, so to speak, and we don't necessarily need that, but the whole solution is, replace with a new a path to point to point. Okay. And I think it could be a $40 million solution, but you got to study it first and determine every angle, but we want the best long-term situation.
No toll bridge, Mayor.
No toll. We thought about it.
All right, thank you. That concludes my
Mr. Tisdale?
comments.
Yes, Mike, on item E, we're moving money, and it involves an ARPA grant. We're moving money from the Shriners Boulevard water sewer extension to the Lorraine water line. And I'm thinking, and we're putting the ARPA money, I guess, into the Shriners Boulevard.
The Shriners Boulevard job was submitted as an ARPA project, was approved in the first round, was bid out, was awarded, a pre-con was held, and a notice to proceed issued, and they are working. So there is additional, because we now know exactly how much that's going to cost, there are extra funds that can be moved to another ARPA project.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's not a matter of one project.
Or the other, neither.
Yeah, that only this one can be funded by ARPA and the other one can't. Okay.
As you recall, we had 4 submissions to ARPA in the first round. We got one project. The other 3 have been resubmitted for round 2.
Okay. On items Q and S, that's, Christie, I was reading these. I just didn't understand them. Could you give me a 25-word Reader's Digest in front of the mic? Okay. Somebody, I got a headache and quit reading, to be honest with you.
I got quite a headache figuring it
I
out.
bet you do, looking at all of these. Thank you.
The Hiller Park project, we had 2 Tidelands grants. We have to address each one of them separately. The project is totally complete. Can you not hear? Can you hear me better now?
We can.
Okay, the project is now totally complete. So on item let's start with N. N, this is amending the 21 application
Right.
to reflect $523,053. That is spent, but we have to do this as an administrative matter.
Right.
On O, we're going to close out that grant. P, we're going to request to move the remaining balance of the 23 grant
Right.
over to Coon Street because
Gotcha.
the project's no longer, it's not needed there, we're finished.
Right.
Q, amends the 23 grant to reflect the amount less what we're asking for reallocation in 5Q from. Then we close in R the 23 grant.
Okay.
Then we go over S is the amended application, including the original grant amount, plus the 34,000 that we're trying to reallocate over in 5Q.
Thank you.
I know.
All right, you did good. Thank you very much. On item HH, just a comment here. I'm thinking that this is the purchase of a vehicle by the engineering department. It's a Rogue, which is not a large vehicle. I'm thinking that would be a good candidate for a charging station and an EV and lower the maintenance. I think we need to be moving in that direction. I'm just saying. That's my comment there. And then on item NN, this is a new air conditioning system at Bay Vista Fire Station. And does this new air conditioning at the Bay Vista Fire Station take into account the increased load it may bear when that fire station is renovated? Well, it will handle that new spec. I'm assuming it does. I just wanted to be sure.
So right now, what we have is an air conditioner not working. We want to get it fixed. To my knowledge, talking with Mark Williams, it will get another air conditioning system. That way you'd have two. So if one goes out, so this one will take care of existing. And as we expand the station, once that ever comes through, we'll have a second air conditioning system for, say, the bedroom.
Okay, so
bunk.
it'll handle the load, the increased
sir.
square footage. All right, thank you. That concludes my comments. Thank you. Question?
You got anything, Timmy? You know or abstain? No. All right, Mr. Lawrence, you got any discussion?
Yes, on M. Mike, what is the surplus property?
Two parcels on vacant lots on Elmer Street, which are currently two parcels that we mow every month. We have no interest, there's no city interest in doing anything with those two parcels. So our first step is to declare them excess. The next thing we'll do is put them out to bid to sell. Probably would be acquired by one of the neighbors.
Okay. These two y'all talking about with this, the grant, G and H, have we tried to approach Homeland Security on supporting building a bridge for the city of Biloxi because of all of the military people we have? I mean, as an evacuation route for safety. I mean, they give these billions of dollars away constantly. Can't believe we can't get a bridge built to protect all the military people that live down there and the bases.
Are we talking Cedar Lake?
Yeah.
Okay. We have submitted in 2 years successive, we've submitted to the state's Emergency Road and Bridge Repair Fund without any luck. I don't think we're going to have any luck until we've got a little more, engineering done. And that's one of the things this grant's going to give us. It's going to give us essentially a draft concept and pricing for whatever option is recommended. And then we can go after funds. But right now, our number one bridge priority is repairing the Pops Ferry Bridge. So we've asked for $15 million, and all of our back channel discussions indicate that they're very close to giving us that money.
And that would just replace the draw part.
That would be repair.
Movable structure.
Right. So we're not falling off that, the Cedar Lake Bridge is important to us, and this brick grant just came out of nowhere, and it'll put us closer to being able to ask for money. Right now, there's no engineering done, and no environmental impact. So this will do all that for us and get us closer to a point where we can ask for funding for construction. In the meantime, our number one priority remains repairing the Pops Ferry Bridge.
No, our number two priority. Number one priority is the Pops Ferry extension. Then that thing. So
Anything else?
that's where we're committed to spending money.
Just a second.
Right, no, that's good, that's right.
What I've been telling those people in Jackson.
Our number one bridge priority.
That's one of what they, trying to find out, they said we bought equipment from that rent company, or we renting equipment. The name of the company is something rent.
It's just an acronym, you know, those guys in Washington have to dream up these acronyms that sound cute.
But I mean, we buying equipment?
We're not buying bricks, no.
Right here in the KK, about the Pucker rent.
KK.
So we're looking at that, I'm saying we're not renting equipment, we're buying equipment.
This is just an acquisition of equipment getting rid of some old equipment and trading in on new equipment. And if you look at the exhibit, it shows that we followed the purchasing rules. We've got 2 quotes. Now we're coming to the council for ask permission to execute the lowest and best quote for a purchasing of a half dozen little items for Public Works. I don't have the exhibit in front of me, but I could read it to you.
That's okay. And on the last one, 00, what is this? We buying up some, is this houses for the extension?
Which item?
Oh.
Yeah, the Pop Ferry extension.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's additional relocation costs for somebody that we had to relocate for that Potts Ferry Extension project. We've already bought the house and moved them, they're in the process of moving, but they can come back and ask for any actual reimbursements for like moving or storing stuff for a certain amount of time. And so that's what that is. It's just additional relocation costs.
And this money comes from where to do this?
It comes out of our MDOT grant.
Okay. Thank you.
I was thinking, have also.
Anything else?
That's it.
That's it? All right.
Is that everybody? Is
Oh, go ahead, Nathan, you were out of the room.
Yeah. I have one question, Mike, on item number E. It says Lorraine Road project, but then it's the Shriners. Is that just something that we're adding to extend that line in?
Yes.
Shriners extension, but then this says Lorraine Road water line. Is this something that we're just including in that project to extend the water line past, I think we go to what, Bellwood right now, Bellawood?
What item is it?
Item E. Well, it's item E and F. One of them is the project, and one of them is accepting the ARPA funds.
Yeah, it's just moving the money from one project, from the Shriners to the
Extension.
Lorraine Road.
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
Yeah,
All right.
it's just moving the money around.
All right.
We got the ARPA money in.
That's the only question I had.
Let me say this. We're allocating money. We're not moving any money. We're allocating a budget, okay? Allocating money from the sources. So little thing that stuck in me. Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay, gotcha. All right,
Allocating, not moving any money.
that's all.
Is that it? All right. All in favor of the consent? 6-0. Any exceptions, Mr. Nathan?
None.
Mr. Glevin, Mr. Tisdale, Mr. Deming, Mr. Lawrence. All right. No code enforcement hearings, so we're going to move on to the routine agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Lawrence. Go ahead, Mr. Lawrence.
Walt, did you already give us an update and all at the beginning? All right. That's what he talked earlier about the millions.
I won the bet.
So you're good? All right. Any more discussion on the routine agenda? All in favor? All in favor? 6-0. Do I have a motion to recess?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Tisdale,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Lawrence. All in favor? Motion recessed.